Show, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. The last two episodes, I've handled kind of questions and conversations I've had through either social media, I've seen things on social media, or conversations with real life people. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different. So in terms of what the show is, and probably just starting out with that. So what I don't want it to be is 5 tips to get more protein into your diet, because there's a million things out there for you already. There's a million blog posts, there's a million magazine articles, and you've got ChatGPT to help you figure out the low level tactical stuff. So what really I want the show to become, and the conversations that I'm handling with people, from people on social media and in person in the gym, and even with clients, is more looking at what's the big picture stuff behind it. What's the big picture strategy behind it? What is maybe the beliefs that are behind it, the mindset, the identity that you need to become to get the results that you want. So the show's going to hopefully become a lot more higher level and less low level tactical for you. And I think that's going to be really, really valuable, because ultimately if we don't have the bigger picture strategy stuff, the tactical stuff just won't work. We won't stick to it. We won't even do it most of the time. And ultimately this is going to help you much, much more. And I think it's just more entertaining as well, Jimmy. We can use ChatGPT to churn off 5 top tips to get more protein in your diet within 10 seconds. You don't need to listen to a 10-minute podcast or 20-minute podcast to get that. But what we need to do is understand what's our beliefs behind that. Why are we doing that? How does that shape our identity? What mindset challenges we're going to have when we come across that? How do I have to evolve as a person to get there? So the show's really going to kind of move into that direction, and much more, just much more interesting really for me, and hopefully for you as well. I suppose the proof's in the pudding with that, but hopefully that will be good. I am looking kind of, I've got the window behind me. I do have the blinds down, but it's sometimes it's behind clouds, sometimes we've got glorious sunshine. So if you are watching the video version of this and I'm kind of squinting, it's because I'm being blinded by the sun. But let's not let's make the most of it while we can. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we kind of get started. So if you do enjoy the show, you can request a free copy of my book that has the strategies that I use with clients. And many people who've read the book and have implemented them have helped them to lose weight without having to make it feel like it's a real battle. So without having to do crazy diets, without having to spend all your time in the gym or do grueling workouts that you hate, and without having to ban foods or cancel your social events or feel guilty for having some chocolate or a pizza with your family on a weekend. So really, if you're interested in the book, drop me a message on social media, YouTube, whatever. And I'm more than happy to send a free copy of that. Or if you want, you can buy it off Amazon. It's completely up to you. Another one as well is if you are interested in kind of learning a little bit more about working with me, or just find out a little bit more about how I can help you. I host free events, and I've got another one coming up on Sunday, the 31st of May. It's Active Body Conditioning, where I coach clients from, and I think it's going to be our 7th event that I'm hosting right now. So it's usually small groups, so 3 to 5 people usually, nice and relaxed, nice and informal. And this event that I'm hosting on Sunday, the 31st, is going to be moving into serial dieters. So I've done something like this before, and it was really well received. It did bring a lot of value, because a lot of people that I speak to are not coming through the door when they've only just started exercise, or they've only just decided that they want to lose weight. They've often tried for months, if not years. And what the workshop's going to do is help you understand what's the things that gets us excited and gets us started, and why does that fade away? Why do we find it really difficult to stick to? Why do we get overwhelmed? And then talking about better strategies that mean you don't feel like you're on a diet, that mean you don't have to take all your time or all your energy or your focus to stick to this diet. And ultimately, what we want to do, and what you'll learn from the workshop, is a much easier, not necessarily easy, but much easier, much simpler, much quicker way to eat and enjoy your food. Also incorporating exercise and addressing the mindset issues that might be stopping you, to ultimately get where you want to get to in terms of your weight, your energy, your confidence, your tone, your physique. And ultimately, if you are getting a little bit, if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, feeling nice and strong and healthy and independent in your later life. So that's coming up next Sunday, the 31st. So if you're interested, drop me a message, check me out on social. I'll be posting stuff about there. And it's a free event, really, really cool. And I think you'll find a lot of value if this is something that you are interested in. So the topic for today is, I'm going to do 25 life lessons at 34 years old. So I had my birthday yesterday, and I turned 34. And I've seen people do these before, and I've really enjoyed them as someone who's listened to kind of these things in the past. And I've wanted to do my kind of own spin on it. In the book, I kind of talk about some of these almost like bigger picture life lesson things, and it just kind of got my creative juices flowing. I thought, okay, yeah, let's do my own version. I was going to do 34 just to make it to make it match, but I kind of thought, okay, I got to do around that 20, 25, and I thought, do you know what I mean? This is a good list. I'm really happy with this list. So I'm probably going to split this up into 2, maybe 3 episodes, depending on how long we run through, because I don't want it to be just a list of cliches for 5 minutes and then we check out. So what I want it to be is I'm going to kind of talk about these. Some will be kind of turned around into maybe health and fitness, which is maybe the prime reason that you listen to this, but also as well, it's going to probably talk about bigger picture stuff. So as well as a coach, I'm now a business owner. I've been that in the past, self-employed business owner. I've had a career which I really, really enjoyed and really threw myself into. I'm also a dad of 2. I'm a husband, and hopefully definitely over the last 34 years of my life, I feel like when I was looking back and reflecting, there's certainly turning points in my life and lessons that I really learned along the way that have helped me kind of transition and evolve into where I am right now. And that's certainly not a finished product, but I'm certainly going to share some of the lessons that I feel have helped me become a better person for myself, as well as the people around me, and become more successful in my eyes of what success is. That might not be necessarily exactly the same for you. You might not be a parent. You might not be that fussed about your career. You might not be that fussed about your health and fitness. You might not be that fussed about whatever it is. But ultimately, the life lessons that I'll share hopefully will certainly translate, and you'll find it really interesting as well. So let's dive straight in. So I think for number 1, I've kind of broken these down into kind of groups as what makes sense. But the first one is going to be prepared to be wrong. So a lot of times I think we struggle with, and a lot of times when I've done this in the past, I think people struggle with the idea that they could be wrong about something. And when we actually look into that, why is that? Why do we have such a fear, almost a real visceral fear or worry about being wrong, when really it's just data. It's just data back to us. It's a strategy that I tried which didn't work. But we have a real emotional connection to that, and a real fear that we are going to be wrong. And I think for a lot of people, and certainly when I look back at my life in the past, it comes down to insecurity. And I think as a society, we are probably now more insecure than we were 20, 30, I mean, I don't know, but 20, 30, 50, 100 years ago, when we didn't have social media, and maybe we didn't feel like we were as under the spotlight as we do now. Whether that's true or not, we certainly probably feel like we are. And ultimately, if we are feeling insecure, we are much more reluctant to be wrong. And what happens when we are reluctant to be wrong is we often dig our heels into something, a strategy that might be not working for us, and we kind of say, we kind of we won't accept that we're wrong in this. We'll blame other things, and ultimately, what often is the case is, if we're trying a strategy, again, let's take it health and fitness. If we try a diet and it doesn't work, people often take that very personally. It's my, I mean, maybe they blame the diet, whatever it is, but if they have a fear of it being of making that mistake. And really, what we need to do is just accept that. Okay, I tried this, and either the strategy was wrong, or I didn't do it right, or whatever it may be, the circumstances didn't align for it to work for me, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it being wrong. And we have to get to that point, because if you're going to do anything, you're going to take trial and error. Obviously, we can work with people and we can learn from other people who've done it and give us almost a shortcut, the do this and you have a very good chance of success. But even if we do follow that path of someone else who's done it and knows what they're talking about, there is still an element of it could go wrong. You might trust in the wrong person. You might not implement what they tell you. And ultimately, we always run that risk when we're going to try to do something, try to achieve something, that it might not go 100% and it might not go right. So we have to be prepared to be wrong. And we sometimes, and again, that boils down to how our self-worth is, how secure we are in ourselves, that the execution of this diet, this execution of this exercise, this execution of this attempt to build a business, this attempt to become a better parent or whatever it may be. If it goes wrong, that's not a reflection on me as a person, as my self-worth. It's just a reflection of how I implemented that strategy. So what we want to do is try and think of that, be prepared to be wrong. And I think over time it just becomes less of an issue. We can work on how secure we are, how insecure we are, but ultimately as well, sometimes it's just getting used to it, like being prepared to be wrong, and accepting that's the case. And ultimately probably just you just become a bit resilient to it. You just become a bit whatever to it, and you just learn from it, move on, and go from there. So that would be number one: be prepared to be wrong. Second one, which kind of ties into this, is self-talk is really, really, really important. So how we speak about ourselves, how we think about ourselves, how we view ourselves, is going to shape how willing we are to try things, and be prepared to be wrong, just in that example before. But also as well, looking forward, let's just say it works out right. And there's many people who do this, who are 3 stone, 4 stone, 5 stone overweight, and they do whatever, follow a diet, go to the gym, whatever it may be, and they lose that weight. They get that 3 stone off, 4 stone off, 5 stone off, whatever, and they get to where they want to be. Um, and oftentimes they still don't feel good. It's the same with money, with success in career, with success in business, with success in, your relationships, whatever. If your self-worth, if your self-talk isn't right, and if you are in that identity of, I'm not good enough, or whatever that underlying belief is, whatever the result is that you can achieve, you still might not feel it. So if you are someone who's overweight, and you are trying to lose that weight, and when you get there, if you do have a lot of negative self-talk, if you are very, very critical of yourself, if you can't accept that you have to be perfect, even when you get the results, very, very likely that in the bigger picture, in the longer term, you might still return to your baseline level of feeling if you don't improve that self-talk. Now, getting results and improving your health and fitness will likely improve your how you view yourself, your self-belief. Do you know what I mean? You've put in the hard yards, you've gone to the gym, you've improved your diet, you've made the effort to learn about nutrition a little bit more, you've made the effort to get up on a morning or go to the gym late at night or whatever it may be. So you've put in the work, and oftentimes that can help people improve their kind of pride, their self-belief, their self-confidence, because they did the hard thing and got there. But if you don't improve that along the way, then you might end up in shape but still feeling like shit. And that is probably one of the biggest challenges in terms of people using injections, because if that's the thing that we do, and everything else, just boils down to the fact that you use an injection once a week or whatever it may be, whatever dosage you're on or whatever it might be. If your whole results, and you believe deep down that all your results came from this external thing, this injection, and you didn't really have to work for it, you didn't really put in the effort, and it all came down to that, you have a much more likely you're much more likely to kind of feel that almost like underwhelming emptiness when you get to where you want to get to. It's like you climb the top of the mountain, but you can't see the view, and you can't enjoy the fact that you got there. You got the helicopter ride to the top, and it's cloudy, rather than you took the climb, and you battled up, and you got to base camp, and you got to camp one or whatever, peak one or peak two or whatever it may be, and you eventually got to the top, and you have this amazing, beautiful view, and part of that view is that you earned it, and that helps improve your self-worth and your self-belief. And I do believe that getting in the gym and training is a way that you can improve that, and seeing your progress along the way is a way that you can improve that self-belief and that self-worth. And if you take not necessarily a shortcut, but if you use something external which basically bypasses all that for you, then you don't get those benefits, and you might find that you end up getting to where you want to get to, and because you haven't improved the self-talk through either work, or it might be during meditation, or you might go through counseling or whatever it may be, or it might just be the fact that you kind of look at that and address that yourself and become aware, and kind of improve on that and do things to improve on that daily, weekly, whatever it may be, then you might get to the result and still not feel great. So that would be number two. So self-talk is really, really important. Third one, no one cares about you as much as you think. So this is absolutely true. And And you almost just be aware of yourself. So if you go out somewhere, if you go to the pub, if you go out for food, if you go to the gym, if you're at the pool on holiday, if you are, I mean, just out shopping, whatever it may be, if you're at a family event and you're seeing people you're not seeing for a while, whatever, if you're at work and you've got to do a presentation, if you are at work and you're in a big team meeting, you've got to kind of speak up. People do not care about you as much as you think, and a good way to really recognize this is look at your own um, look at your own mindset and how you think in those situations. You're very much a lot of people who struggle with this are often just obsessed with what am I doing here, or I hope I don't look silly, or do you mean what's that person thinking of me. Try and recognize that everyone else in that room is the same as well. um, Everyone's thinking about their own stuff. Everyone has their own doubt and fear and insecurities. So it's just accepting that nobody cares as much as you think, and even if they do, it's very much in passing because everyone's got their own stuff that they're dealing with. So I would definitely say that that's a huge one, and really believing that helps you kind of get the confidence to go for it. There's lots of people that I know and speak to who know they need to get in the gym, but they're just a bit nervous. They're just a bit anxious because they're worried about, there might be genuine fears and concerns. I've got injuries. I'm worried about hurting myself. Those are genuine fears and concerns, anxieties. But there's always a social, a fear, a kind of, a social element to that as well. Do you mean I don't want to look stupid? I don't want to be the most unfit person there. I don't want to feel like everyone's looking at me, and that is almost certainly never the case when you step into the gym, because one, it's either generally a very very healthy, happy community of and people who are good people, and oftentimes those people are also, do you mean, kind of thinking about themselves. Do you mean whether they are worried about their own insecurities, or they might just be, do you mean, head down, focused on their own workout. Like they've got their own things to focus on, or they're thinking about what happens when they leave the gym. They've got to go and pick the kids up. They've got the weekend plans, whatever it may be. So very, very likely you're lower down on the list of priorities and things that are in people's minds. So people do not care as much as you think. And that's a really helpful one. It's quite a freeing one as well, because ultimately that can stop people from just giving it a go. Next one is going to be number 4. So the pressure of trying to be perfect is worse than the price of your imperfections. So this is often a really good one for nutrition. Because oftentimes, because there's so much stuff out there, it's all very, very polarized. It's like, what's a good example? Water. Drink more water. That's the standard. That's where you should start. That's the fundamental. Most people, I mean, not everyone, but a lot of people probably just don't drink enough water. But then you have people saying, "Oh, well, do you mean we'll make sure you don't drink sugar-free cordials? Don't make sure it has to be water. It can't be coffee or tea, or it can't be sugar-free fizzy drinks. Make sure you drink out of a glass bottle instead of a plastic bottle because of the microplastics. Make sure you use a Brita filter rather than just getting out the tap. Make sure you get bottled water, but it has to be glass." And it's just crazy. And the stress of trying to be perfect, if you subscribe to all those beliefs, the stress of thinking, okay, well, I can only get bottled water that comes in a glass bottle, and I can never get out of plastic bottles because of the microplastics, and I can never get out of the tap because of the pollution in there and the chlor and the fluoride, and do you mean, whatever it may be. After now, we've even got hydrogen water and all this other bullshit, and ultimately, all that pressure and that stress, just, even if there is a benefit in the thing that you're doing, even if there is a benefit in the thing that you're really going out of your way to achieve, the stress of it is just completely overwhelming the benefits from it. It's hard to follow a strict plan. It's hard to follow something that's really, really complicated, and that causes stress and anxiety, and it takes away from your mental capacity to handle work and family and kids and social life. So we have to always do like a cost benefit analysis. Do you mean you've got things that, do you mean if I'm cooking fresh every meal, like the benefit of that is, do you mean there is obviously a benefit to cooking fresh and do you mean whole foods versus eating maybe ready meals or more processed foods or whatever it may be. But the cost of trying to do that every single meal, every single day, it can weigh on you, and it can weigh on you, and it makes life difficult. It makes you feel like you can't win as well, because ultimately it's very hard to avoid a life without processed foods and where you're cooking everything from scratch because you either don't have the time or you don't have the capacity. So ultimately, we've got to decide and make a cost benefit analysis of what is the cost of trying to be perfect. And oftentimes, for most people, it's outweighed by the stress and the pressure that it puts on us. The price of our imperfections, of having a ready meal every now and again, of having some processed food every now and again, is far less damaging than the stress of trying to be perfect. And ultimately, that's where I would go with nutrition, with exercise, and again with lots and lots of different things. We can really complicate it and make it really difficult, but ultimately, it just makes life hard. So always bear that in mind. If you're considering doing something, is the pressure of trying to be perfect, is it actually worse than the price of the imperfections or the problems that I'm trying to avoid? The next one is nothing's ever black and white. There's a lot of grey, and again, in the society we live in, we're in a very black and white, left and right, red or black, polarizing world where we have lots of tribes. Um, and there's various reasons for that. One, if we're very tribal and we create if we talk about something extreme, then I have a much better chance of going viral, of getting attention, than I do talking about a more balanced approach, which is what I do. Like, I am never ever gonna go viral unless God knows what. What, I have no idea what would help me go viral, because ultimately my approach is too balanced. It's too for the real world. We have had people we've had the Liver King who ate raw meat, and he'd be, talking about the dangers of Wi-Fi, whilst also getting recorded, and the radiation damage from that, whilst also wearing microphones which emit Bluetooth rays, and he's got $10,000 cameras pointing at him, and he obviously streams on social media, so he's using a smartphone. The hypocrisy and the bollocks around it is just crazy, but it gets clicks, and it gets that attention, and ultimately we live in an attention economy. But and that creates that very much black or white. It's this or that. It's carnivore or it's vegan. What about in the middle? And there's lots of grey in the middle. And again, it's talking about that example earlier of that home cooked fresh versus that processed, doesn't matter what you eat kind of approach. Obviously, you want to find that sweet spot in the middle. And sometimes you might lean more to one side when it suits. Sometimes you might lean more to the other side when it suits. But ultimately, in a world of that black and white, that polarization, there's a lot of grey, and that grey is really where you want to live, and try and avoid this tribalism that exists in everything that we often do. And ultimately, that's what we want to be able to do, trying to create our own version of things and pick things from other people, and test it out for ourselves and see whether it works. And ultimately, that's what's gonna make it work for you, whatever that is, whether that's being a parent, whether that's being a husband or a business owner, or someone who's healthy and fit. So nothing's ever black and white is a lot of great. Number 6. So we're going to wrap through these. We might do this over three episodes at this rate, but hopefully it's valuable in terms of, I'm not just giving you the cliche soundbite. We're talking about the things actually really behind it. And next one. So you're never going to feel ready. You've just got to do it. And this, in example from my life, would be what I'm doing right now. So I coached. I qualified as a coach in 2014. It was between my second and third year uni, and as soon as I finished uni in the third year, I went into personal trainer, self-employed personal trainer at a gym in Middlesbrough. Used to be called Lifestyle Fitness. I think it's JD gym now in like Cannon Park. And for 2.5 years, 3 years, I did that in person, and I did very well with clients. But I was early to mid 20s, and I really struggled with kind of the business stuff. I struggled with kind of putting myself out there. I was too scared to post on social media. Didn't really have any clue about running a business really, and ultimately I moved away from coaching in 2017, but I had good success with the clients that I did work with, and I really enjoyed actually being a coach. It was the stuff around it that I struggled with, and I moved into various different jobs. I was a project manager at a solicitor's for quite a while, and my previous job I started in marketing as a marketing assistant, and then worked my way up into the agency. that was kind of a sister company. And then the last year and a half, I worked with the CEO, closely with the CEO, doing the marketing for that business. And throughout that last 18, maybe through the last 3 years of that 4 years that I was there, I always had this itch to kind of go back into coaching, and I won't talk about this detail right now, but basically when I had my daughter Sophie, who's comes to 4, I really struggled as a dad. I kind of got out of shape. I struggled with that adaptation from not being a parent to being a parent, which obviously throws lots of different challenges at us. And ultimately I'd figured it out, basically how it would work for me. And I thought, this is really valuable. I can help other people with this. And I had that itch to go back into coaching. And there was a couple of times where I'd dabbled, and I'd started maybe doing a bit of posting online. I'd say I would do online coaching, and I helped a few people along the way, but I was always kind of one foot in, one foot out, and it kind of always would fizzle out. And ultimately, I one of the challenges where I didn't feel ready. I mean, I was at a good job that I did really enjoy. It was an amazing company. Worked with people who were fantastic, really great people, and but I always wanted to do it, but I just never felt ready. I didn't know what time it was that I was going to get to do it, and it was going to be a big jump. And for many months, and probably last 18 months, I was kind of, I always had this in the back of my mind. Sometimes it was a really strong pull, sometimes it was just a soft whisper, but ultimately I always had this desire to go back into it. And I was sometimes waiting to feel ready, but ultimately I just decided, right, okay, I'm just going to have to go for it. And I've obviously made the jump, and I wrote my book, and I started actually coaching again in person in January, and we're kind of doing almost 5 months in, 6 months in, and it's been fantastic, and there's been huge challenges along the way. Going from working for someone to self-employed, and then also going back into coaching, which I've actually loved, being on the gym floor, and that's been amazing. That's working with the clients has been fantastic, and seeing the results that they've got, and helping lots of people who haven't even came on board with me, but being able to see that whether they read my book or came to an event or listened to some of the stuff I put out there, and hearing how it's helped them is really rewarding. Business stuff, being able to set that up and feel like, okay, I'm building something great here. But all that came from just going for it, because I was never ever going to feel ready whilst I was working for someone else. I had to jump. And that might be the case for you in terms of your health and fitness. Do you mean you might be always, a lot of times people say, oh, do you mean I'll wait until Christmas is out the way, and then I'll wait until the kids' birthdays are out the way, and then I'll wait until Easter's over because all the Easter eggs, and then I'll wait until summer is out the way because obviously it's going to be busy as summer. I've got holidays. I'm going to be, it's nicer weather. I don't want to be in the gym. I want to be able to kind of enjoy the summer. Then I'll wait until after Halloween. I'll wait until work quiets down. There's always going to be something that kind of gets in the way, and you're always not going to feel ready for it. It might also be just, I don't feel like I'm mentally ready for it. I don't feel like I'm ready to step into the gym. I don't feel like I'm ready to start going out for runs. I don't feel like I'm ready to kind of put my neck out there and say, okay, I'm going to try and lose weight. I'm X stone overweight, and I'm not happy where I am right now and how I feel or how I look, and I'm going to change this. And that can be a big step for people, and it can mean that you are just nervous to do it, and ultimately you don't, and you're waiting to feel like you're ready, but you're never going to, and that definitely is a big life lesson. Just do it, and you'll either figure it out or you'll sink or swim, and most of the times we'll swim. And if we sink, then it's a case of, again, going back to that first one, be prepared to be wrong. Okay, amazing. Like this business thing, do you know what I mean? That I'm going into the coaching. I've left a safe salary, with great people, a fantastic job that I was at, and I really felt like I was good at, and I enjoyed. And I took this big leap of faith, and I have to be prepared that if it goes wrong, then it goes wrong. But I can always maybe get my job back there. I can maybe go to a different company. Do you mean something will work out? And it might not be the way that I wanted to, but at least I give it a go. And oftentimes it'll obviously take a little bit of time to do that. But maybe if you listen to this right now and you feel like you've been on the fence for ages, and you just need to just go for it. Just go for it. And obviously try and do your best attempt at it. And like I said, if it is health and fitness, request a company or book, come to an event, just listen to some of the podcasts I post or some of the stuff on social media. Like, obviously do your best to succeed, but you're never going to kind of feel ready, and the stars are never going to align. And even if they do, even if you have a clear month where work's quiet, everyone's amazing, the family's amazing, and they don't need much of your attention, or do you mean they're not taking that much from you? So you've got lots of energy to train, maybe you've got loads of time, so you can cook and all this kind of stuff. Even if that is the case, and you have an amazing month, and you decide to start in this perfect month, well, what happens when the month gets busy? What happens next month when work gets really busy? Are you just going to stop? You need to figure out how to make it work when things aren't right, when it's not an amazing week. Because ultimately, if we can't survive a tough week, then we're never going to keep the results that we do achieve anyway. So you might as well just go for it. Next one, number 7, hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. This is, I can't remember where I heard this, but I've heard this a lot of times. But and you might have heard it as well. And again, it's a bit of cliche, a bit of a catchphrase, but it is undeniably true. It's hard to get in the gym when you don't feel like it. It's hard to get up on a morning if you've got to get up early to get to the gym before the kids wake up and before you start work. It's hard to get to the gym some days when you're tired after a busy day at work. You're in the office, you've had your head battered with meetings and all sorts of crap that goes on, office politics, whatever it may be, and it's hard to get in the gym. But by making those hard decisions to get in the gym 2, 3, 4 times a week, whatever it may look like for you, and get up a sweat and lift some weights and challenge yourself maybe emotionally to get on the gym floor and be brave to say, okay, I'm going to go for it and risk being seen, then what happens as a consequence of that is life becomes easy because you are stronger, you're fitter, you're more mobile, you're able to be more active, you're more independent as you age. You're not worrying about when you go to the doctor getting bad news. You're not feeling like you are going to you're not waking up with loads of aches and pains. It's not hard to get up and down off the floor when you're playing with kids or your grandkids. It's not hard to pick them up. It's not hard to carry the shopping. It's not hard to get in and out the car because you put in the effort to get in the gym and squat and deadlift and whatever it may be and lift weights. And because you made those hard decisions, you've got an easy life. Whereas the other flip side of that is an easy decision is to lie in, is to wake up last minute, rush to get ready and then head straight into the office and skip that gym session. Or the easy option is to come straight home after work, grab a drive-through on the way home, or order an Uber Eats, it's here for you within 5 minutes of you walking through the door, plonk yourself down and watch 7 episodes of shit TV on a night while you're eating loads of crap and Doritos. And those are easy decisions. But then what happens as a consequence of that is life's really hard, because now all of a sudden when you go to the doctors, they're telling you your cholesterol's too high, you're pre-diabetic. Life's really hard because when you get ready in the morning, you feel like shit because you don't like what you see in the mirror. Life's really hard because your fucking energy is gone because you are eating shit, you don't move, you feel sluggish, you feel lethargic, you feel ugh. Life is hard because you're bigger and it's harder to move. It's hard to get in and out of the car. You groan when you get up out of bed in the morning because you're so achy and stiff and you're immobile. And that is a hard life because of you took easy choices. So hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life. So I think that is a huge one and definitely really lands as well. Also as well, I'm going to kind of shuffle the order a little bit in mind, but the flip side of that is the next one is you also energy is also finite. So number 8 is going to be, yes, put in the effort and make those hard choices, but at the same time, again, it's not black and white, it's gray. Sometimes you need to rest. You need to maybe take the easy choice. So if you're normally going hard in the gym 4 times a week and that's your typical week, and work goes really crazy, the kids are unwell, you're unwell, you're not sleeping well, you're stressed you're absolutely stressed out your mind, you've got a bit of a niggling knee injury. In that point, your energy, your capacity is very, very much reduced. So what we need to do is recognize that and be aware of that, and then adjust our goals for that week. So the next week, you might take the entire week out of the gym, or you might go to the gym and just do walk on the treadmill, do some really light weights, just do a quick full body workout and get in and out within 20 minutes, just to keep yourself ticking over. So that is the other side of this hard decisions, easy life, is also being aware of when your resources, mental, physical, emotional, are depleted. Because again, on a tough week, you are not going to be able to get in the gym and train as hard and be as perform at the level that you would like on on a tough week as you would on a good week. So what we want to do is recognize that, and it's a fine balancing act because one, we need to give ourselves some recovery, some recharge time when it's appropriate. But at the same time, and this is where the nuance comes in, and this is where a second voice in the conversation I think can be really helpful in terms of a coach or a community, is making sure you're not using that as an excuse. I'm not saying that I'm tireder than I am, so I can give myself a pass to not go to the gym today. I'm not saying that life's really busy and work's really busy, so I'm going to wait until next month to start in the gym again. I am aware of my capacity and recognize when I'm really pushed for mental, physical, or emotional energy, and I'm willing to recharge, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse to slack off. So that's kind of the fine balance between the two. And ultimately, that's where we want to get to in being kind of aware, like energy is finite. So we need to be making sure that we're aware of that challenge that we've got going through there. So next one's going to be another big thing as well in terms of getting stuff done is actually just deciding and committing. And that can be something that's really, really helpful. So oftentimes, when I speak to people, they may have tried lots of different diets, and tried different exercises, and whatever aspect of life, people often dabblers and I just talked about it earlier, me in kind of going back into the business and setting up the business. That was me dabbling for a long time and not quite deciding. I couldn't quite decide. I couldn't quite commit. I was too uncertain. I was too fearful. I was too nervous. I was too busy waiting to feel ready when it was never going to happen. But once you decide, once you commit, then all of a sudden you'll unlock a new level of yourself. You'll unlock a new level of performance. So that could be, do you mean signing up for that gym membership rather than, do you mean kind of doing half-assed stuff at home, or do you mean you kind of doing you kind of walk and run around the block, whatever it is do you mean that gets all pretty quick. Get some little cheap home dumbbells from Amazon or whatever it might be. Again, that gets all pretty quick, and we can't really train properly if we're doing it in the spare room when we shove the dumbbells under the bed when we're done. Again, mindset wise, I think getting in the gym is hugely different from just doing little random home stuff. Again, all things being equal, that you can do that, but ultimately, what the biggest thing is sometimes when you just decide, right, I'm going to go for it. This is the time. And when we do that and when we decide and we actually commit to it, we can often find that when we do get those challenges come up, we kind of problem solve, or we could just kind of push through them. Because when we're kind of in this half in, half out camp, or when we're dabbling, when stuff comes up that's tough for us, it's easy for us to say, oh, well, I mean, well, I was only kind of half doing it this week. I'll start Monday. How many times have you done that? Have you done that where you've been half in, half out, and ultimately it's easy for you to give up. But if you commit to something, and a big part of the coaching that I do, obviously, it's one-to-one, it's in person, it's really, really high level. So obviously, there's a financial commitment to that, and an investment level that may be higher than what you've done in the past. But like, guess what happens when you put some skin in the game? When you, rather than it being a £20 gym membership that dribbles out your account every month and you don't even notice it, what if it's a more significant investment? Is, guess what happens? Like, you'll go to the gym, you'll stick to the diet, you'll jump on the calls, you'll ask the questions, you'll ask for help, you'll implement what we talk about and the strategy we talk about. And obviously the stuff that we can do, which is, I help people find better ways to do things. I simplify things, I make it easier for people, I make it quicker for people, I help people get really clear, and that in itself is very, very valuable. But oftentimes the big element is the fact that people have just decided, like, I am going to do this, and I know that I need some help, and I'm determined to get it done. So I'm going to invest in coaching. And just by the impact of making that decision themselves and making a commitment themselves that actually they feel, then they're much more likely to do it. Because again, when you've got to track your calories, sometimes that's a bit of a pain in the ass. Like, do you mean, would you rather not do it or do it? Like, you'd rather not do it. But if you're serious, if you're committed, then, do you know what I mean, spend a couple of minutes a day tracking all your food and things like that, so you can get great results and actually get what you want. is a consequence in the price you're willing to pay. Whereas if you're half in, half out, you're not really sure whether you're going to do it. You're kind of half doing it this week, but if someone comes up on a weekend, you'll just forget about it and start again in June. Then these choices that you make are easier to give up on, and basically you can pick the easy thing. So making a decision is often making a decision, committing, and getting kind of a bit of tunnel vision, a bit of focus is really, really something that's really, really powerful and going to really, really help you out. So we are so I'm probably a third of the way through, and I'm going to cut it there because I'm aware of time and I know that people do not want to listen to a 3-hour podcast about life lessons. So I'm going to break it up. So that was episode 3 of the Leicester Kitchen Show. I hope you have really, really enjoyed it. 25 life lessons from 34 years. And we've kind of done part 1. We'll be breaking this up into 2 more parts. I'll split these up over the next couple of weeks. But let me know if you enjoyed that. Let me know which one was the one that really stood out for you the most. And like I said, if you are interested in, if you're sick of dabbling, if you want to get some really good results, start here. So you can request a free copy of my book. It's on Amazon. You can buy it off there. You can see all the amazing reviews, 4.9 stars. I think we've got 29 reviews right now. You can buy it off there, or you can get a free copy. Just drop me a DM or send me an email or whatever. Just find my contact details, send me a message, and I'll send you a free copy as well. That contains the strategies that I use for clients to get amazing results without having to follow any extremes. No crash diets, no workouts you hate, and you don't have to ban all your favorite foods. I feel guilty for having some chocolate. The other one would be come to a free event. So I host these every 3 to 4 weeks. Different topics each time. So if there's a topic that really sounds good for you, make sure you get there, because I don't always do it. It's not the same topic each time. And ultimately, this is small person, nice and informal, nice and relaxed. And it allows you to kind of get some advice and get some live coaching as well for free. And it's just a nice experience, really cool. And whether or not you decide to go ahead with coaching after the fact, that's completely up to you. But either way, you're going to learn something that's really, really valuable for you. And you're going to get what you need to make progress. The final thing will be, if you enjoyed the show, if you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever it is, if you could subscribe, like, drop a comment, download it, all the good stuff that you know that you that I'd love for you to do. That would be really, really appreciated. And if there's any topics that you do hear, anything that you do see, let me know. Let me know if you've got a particular question that you want me to answer on the show. Let me know. I'll answer it live. You can make it anonymous. If I can make it anonymous for you if you want, that's absolutely fine, of course. But ultimately, if you've got a question, this is a great way to get an answer, and it could help someone else as well. So if you see something online that you're interested in and you think, what's my opinion on that? If you see a hot topic and you want my take on it, send it through. Or if you've got a question yourself or you're really struggling with something, let me know, and that would be really good. So that was episode 3. We're going to do this every week. I've got this planned in my calendar, so I'm going to do this every single week, and it's really designed to give you a bit of a deep dive. It's more than just that 60-second reel that you're going to see on social media, or that carousel that you're going to swipe through on Instagram. It's something a bit more meaty, and like I said, we're going to not just go through 5 top tips to increase your protein. We're going to look deeper beyond that, the identity stuff, the belief stuff, the mindset stuff, the bigger picture life stuff as well. So it doesn't have to be just coaching wise, it can be much more bigger picture. And ultimately, I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. I've enjoyed doing the first 3, and hopefully you've enjoyed listening to them, watching them. It's cool to see that people are kind of listening to them, although we're certainly not definitely not in the millions yet. And like I said, that's not what it's about. I'm not trying to go viral. I'm trying to help that 1 or 2 people who are maybe aware of me and just kind of on the fence and just want to learn a little bit more and get a little bit more advice before maybe reaching out to speak to me or coming on board to work with me, whatever it may be. So if that's you and you're listening, you've got to this stage of the show, then thank you. I honestly do appreciate it. And it's really cool to hear when people have read the book or they've seen my stuff on social media or YouTube or the podcast and they've enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you. And I hope you have an amazing day. And if you do need anything, just drop me a message, Leicester@leicesterkitchen.com, or find me on Instagram, Facebook, drop me a DM. More than happy to help you out. There we go. Over and out. Thank you.